In question number 5, as I just mentioned at the end of the previous video, we're going to go backwards and write logs in exponential form. So the one thing you should probably understand really quickly is that exponential form, which is literally what happens when we see something that has an exponent, and log form, which is what happens when you literally see the word log in an expression, are opposites of each other. We can write exponentials as logs, and we can write logs as exponentials. Question number 4 was all about starting with an exponential and writing it as a log. So question number 5 is naturally going to go in reverse. They're going to give you the log and ask you to write it as an exponential. To keep things consistent, I'm going to stick with the color coding that I was using in question number 4, though you don't have to do that yourself. It's kind of a personal preference. If I look though, I see I'm starting with something that says log. So I want to just quickly match up my colors. It looks like the base was what I was doing in yellow, so there's my base that I'll highlight yellow is a 2. The number that follows is the blue one, so I'll highlight that. And then the number after the equal sign was the one I highlighted pink. Now some people find the color coding helpful, but many people I've found find that little arrow thing helpful. That the arrow kind of dictates what order this expression gets written in. So I'm going to draw that little curvy arrow again, and I'm going to narrate as I trace it. 2 to the power of 2 equals x, because that's the exact order of my exponential expression. The base of the log is the base of the exponent. That's why we call it by the same word, base. The base of the log is the subscript. The base of the exponent is the part where the exponent attaches. So 2 to the power of whatever was after the equal sign, to the power of 2, equals the number in the middle of the expression, the blue one, which is 4. Now again, if you want to keep the color coding going, we have the yellow, which is 2. We have the power number, which was pink. Remember, power is pink. And then we have the answer number that we called the blue. So if you want to use the color coding, again, you can repeat that color coding through all of the questions, and you could write it in all of the answer spaces as well. You could have yellow to the power of pink equals the blue. And if you're a visual person, or if you just like using color, this might be a good way of helping train your brain to see it. Some people don't really use the color, and they just use the exponents themselves, or they use the little arrow. I personally use the arrow a lot because I feel like that just reminds me of the order very quickly. So the arrow starts with the base. That means the base is going to be x to the power of the number on the furthest right hand side, which is 3, so that'll be my power number there, 3. Then as I trace backwards, I hit the equal sign, there's my equal sign, and I end up at the 27, so that must be my final number. X to the power of 3 equals 27. Notice when you get your answers to these questions, they look like exponentials, just like we saw in the previous question. So it actually kind of makes sense that the original questions in number 4 end up looking like our answers in number 5. And our answers in number 4 look like the original questions in number 5. They're kind of opposites of each other. So that is one important thing to remember about exponentials and logs. They are always opposites of each other. An exponential can be written as a log, and a log can be written as an exponential. It's kind of like they just swap forms. So trying a couple more just to make sure we got the hang of it. If you don't want to do the color coding, I'll show in letter C how you can do it with simply using this arrow. Just trace always from the subscript. 5 would be our base to the power of x, loop back around, equals 125. And I'll write what I just said, 5 for the base to the power of x, loop back around, equals 125. If you've gotten the hang of that pattern, you might even find that writing exponentials is a little bit easier than writing logs, and many people find that to be true as well. Writing exponentials is often a lot simpler. So in the last one, letter D here, 6 to the power of 1 equals x. You get pretty used to it because the pattern's always the same and the numbers are always in the same spot. 6, the base, to the power of 1, the number after the equals the number in the middle, x. Now, see if you can try questions E through H. Try to rewrite them with your exponential expression using either color coding, arrows, both, neither, whatever works for you. And then in the last video, we'll once again talk about solving for x.